Hey everyone, it's Josh coming to you with a video today. Uh, Blessedly so, I've been really busy, so I haven't really been up on blog creation and videos and stuff. But I wanted to come to you today because it's a beautiful day out, and I'm kind of getting that nudge to give a little bit of or share a little bit of stuff that it's been coming through because I have been really busy and I've been doing a lot of work, which is great because there's a whole lot of people out there who can benefit from the type of connection our spirits can give us, our ancestors and loved ones, and those guardian allies that we have. There's a lot of benefit and a lot of education, a lot of perspective and healing, freedom, liberation, balance that we can get from that type of connection with our ancestors and our spirits. So I've been doing a lot of it, which is great. One of the things that keeps coming up as we go through these readings, folks and I, is the grand scale of things, and it's hard to explain, but I'd like you to think of it from, your ancestors' perspective. Imagine being alive 200 years ago, or being something that's not so human, or been around for a really long time and has seen cycles of uprisings, both from nature and people. Nature and spirit love balance, and that keeps coming across in a lot of everything that I'm doing. Loves balance, and you can see that in nature. Nature left by itself perfectly balances itself, right? Our lives should be balanced internally, externally, spirit, mind, body, as much as we can achieve that balance, right? In the grand scheme of things, this virus, these riots and protests that we're going through, a natural effect to the cause, right? Cause and effect, right? Something happens and something else happens. That's what this is, and it's all about balance. So find solace and peace in that what we're all going through is stuff that people have gone through for time immemorial, ever since there's been people, right? Cycles of creation, growth, destruction, and death, right? This cycle that creation runs on. Creation, expansion, right? Summer, winter, day, night, all of those types of things. Nature runs on cycles. Nature runs on balance. People will run on cycles. People will run ultimately on balance. In the grand scheme of things, you have to know that everything with humanity is going to work out because humanity is going to figure out how to get along, right? Eventually, humanity is going to figure out how to get along, or humanity's not going to be around. Essentially, right? Balance. We've all forgotten how to find balance. The other thing is, in terms of perspective of time, it's really interesting. I was born in 1979, so I didn't really grow up with the internet. I didn't grow up with social media or cell phones. And I really feel for the kids that do. And I think those people that were born without cell phones and internet and social media, I think you feel for the people that have to grow up in that environment and have to deal with the drama that's around that stuff. If there's any drama, right? Because, of course, internet, cell phones, and social media doesn't guarantee drama. It just makes it kind of easier to happen. I feel for them. Oddly enough, through a lot of the readings that I've gotten, talking about balance internally and emotionally, of course, and being able to walk through life, being at peace with oneself, that's what spirit wants for us, right? We have also, anybody watching this video has also grown up in a different time that's tougher than you'd think. Let me explain why. If you're watching this video, guaranteed, you grew up in a time of advertising, marketing. Let me tell you why that's a big deal. Anybody born in the past 100 years, right? Even our grandparents to a certain extent. Anybody born in the past 100 years has to deal with advertising, has to deal with images. Capitalism, industry, commerce, the economy has to sell things. And how do you sell things to people? Convince them that they're not complete without it, right? All advertising is essentially saying, hey, There's a great big gaping hole in your life, and we have the solution for it. All the way from cigarettes to casinos to video rentals, right? Anything that's ever been advertised, from cars to clothing to anything, food even. You have a great big need in your life, and we're here to solve it for you. Over and over and over and over and over again, this message is driven into your head that from the very moment that you can actually conceive of the reality around you, it really is driven into your head. And we're all taught to a certain extent that we're not complete. Religion, some bad religions have done that to people, and I have a problem with the Abrahamic religions that teach everybody is fallen when they come into this world, that everybody's broken, everybody's a sinner, and that only through the glory of God, only through their connection to spirit and their version of it, can you find absolution or grace. I don't believe that. I think that we're all born into grace. We are all here to experience it and to manifest it into our lives as best we can. Okay? The story of religion, though, is like, hey, you're lacking this. You're born without this. You need us to get it. Right? It's kind of a control thing, and I don't dig on that. Same thing happens with marketing. Hey, we have this thing. You need it. You're not whole without it. And that is driven into us from a very, 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 very early age. Over and over and over. I think it's worse if you're a woman, right? Clothing, makeup, hair, clothing, all of this stuff. You're not complete without it. I think it's important that we make space for that and understand that our training, our programming, and our conditioning has all been leading us to feel like we're incomplete. Thousands of years ago, right, in the old ways. And so I'm not much of a new agey type of guy. I'm the old age type of guy. I want to go back to our ancestors 6,000 years ago and how they worked with the land, how they lived with the land, how they experienced creation, they experienced the spiritual. I think there's a lot of balance that we can get from that. With that said, going back to the old ways in a tribal culture, if there was a person who had transition in their life that dug something out of them, right? Like a divorce or a death or anything, a transition in their life that really hurt. That tribal culture around them, that family, extended family, and both family and media would raise them up in a ceremony or a ritual, help them to get through that, to get to the other side of it, to acknowledge it, right? To say, hey, we see that you're broken, something happened. Here's what we can do. We're going to celebrate you. We're going to love you. We're going to heal you, right? We don't have that nowadays. So we have all of these transitions in our life, right? Let's look at advertising, marketing, the programming that gives us. But then let's look at what we have to deal with when it comes to feeling incomplete. We feel incomplete and we don't have the ability to give ourselves the compassion that we need to get through life, right? So this world is built right now to profit on you feeling incomplete. The more incomplete you feel, the more you're going to drink, the more you're going to smoke, the more you're going to sex, drug, rock and roll, entertain, escape, read, travel, whatever it is that you do. You have this disconnect inside of you. You're going to look to fill it, right? You're going to look to fill it. And when you look to fill it, because you're not trained to address that sort of chunk that's torn out of you through these transitions, right? You can look for short-term solutions to a long-term problem and not really get anywhere but hurting yourself, poisoning yourself. I find a lot of people's problems come from the fact that they don't recognize this programming, right? In spirit, because they have this perspective, these ancestors of ours have this perspective. They see things from a wider angle, more of a sociological, more of a psychological perspective, right? The things that we go through, because they have that perspective, they have that hindsight. Really important for us to see that, right? Because we're all built. If you're in a modern Americanized Western culture, you're not complete without X, Y, or Z, and I've got X, Y, or Z to sell you. Cars, clothing, food, anything like that. It's tough. It's very tough to grow up in this modern world because everything in our society teaches us that we're incomplete. The message, of course, is that you are complete. And this is how I know. I want you to think of the worst thing about yourself that you hate. Is it your teeth? Is it your hair? Is it your height? Is it your weight? Is it your eye color? Wish they were green? You know, those types of things. What are the things that you hate about yourself that you were born with that you really can't change? You have no effect over, right? Very little effect. I want you to think about the thing that you beat yourself up over the most, physically. And I want you to think of a loved one. Child, parent, daughter, son, husband, wife, loved one, right? Somebody that you love. And they had that same physical attribute. And they were beating themselves up in the same exact way as you are. Oh, that's ridiculous, right? Oh no, that's ridiculous. You shouldn't do that. That's not healthy. That's not true. You're beautiful, right? That compassion and wisdom that you'd give to other people in that same situation is the same compassion and wisdom that you got to be given to yourself. And the reason that you don't is because you were born into this world really programmed to not like yourself, to feel like you're always lacking, you're incomplete. This modern age of ours is very tricky to live in, and our spirits, our ancestors, they have a lot of compassion for it. It's not fun, right? It's not fun, especially when the world seems to burn down or rebalance itself around us, and we have to be very careful of that as it happens, right? So, as you go through life, right, and if you're a modern American person or a Western person, as you're going through life, and you're beating yourself up for X, you're beating yourself up for Y, you're beating yourself up for Z. I want you to look at the root of why you're beating yourself up over that. And I want you to ask yourself, if somebody I loved was going through that, what would I tell them about it, right? If they were beating themselves up over this, what would I tell my loved one? That's what I've got to take for advice. You have to be careful about the human ability to manifest, because we have the ability to manifest and to create the reality we want to live in. And this is very true for everyone. In the new agey world, there is something called the secret or the law of attraction, and basically it says that if you just think about something hard enough, it's going to come to you, right? Like I have to think about the partner or the house or the promotion or the animal or the pet or the white picket fence or whatever it is. I think about it hard enough, it's just going to come to me. And that's not how we manifest. That's not how we create. We create from the other side of our brain, right? Not up from the active part of it, from that subconscious part, from that deep part way in the back of your mind that holds those beliefs about yourself, those true inner beliefs about yourself. If you truly believe you don't deserve happiness, if you truly believe you don't deserve peace, if you truly believe you don't deserve connection, you are going to keep doing things in your life to create those patterns that perpetuate that belief. And oftentimes people can burn their life to the ground by the decisions they make, stand knee deep in the ashes of their life, look around them and go, what happened? And ultimately it was because they made bad decisions, because they didn't respect themselves, they didn't love themselves, they didn't keep people that they shouldn't have kept near them away. You gotta be careful about those inner beliefs of yourself. You're programmed to feel them. You are programmed to feel them. They're built into you from the ground up. And the more you feel them, the more you're going to, not knowing what's happening, drink, smoke, drug, sex, gamble, entertain, escape, all of those things, and create somebody money while you do it. Capitalism, right? The economy. Careful how you're manipulated. Careful how we as a society and a culture over a very long time have been manipulated. It's a pretty big deal. First step is just to appreciate yourself and to not beat yourself up for things that you can't control, right? And not feel like you lack because you don't have that $80 skateboard, things like that. Marketing is manipulation. Careful of the manipulation, and careful of how it's built into our very culture, the way we tell stories, the way we watch movies, everything. People are incomplete. They have a journey to become complete, and what's at the end of that journey, right? Cars, money, things like that. Careful, because these perpetuate these ongoing patterns in your life. So I want you to think about the things about yourself and how You could have been programmed by culture or society to feel that. I want you to think about sometimes the bad decisions that you made and how, if you really loved yourself, if you had a daughter in that situation or a son in that situation, how those things would have turned out, or you had wanted them to handle it. Yeah, spirit. A lot of them are frustrated. A lot of them are with us. A lot of them know that we're going through this transition, this shift, this rebalancing. They're with us. But we also have to be a student of history and be a student of people and understand how things unfold in the way of balance. And try to find balance within your own life. Try to find balance in other people's lives. Do things that minimize the imbalance that you create in your own lives and the others, lives of others. Very important. So I'm done. Very tired. Had to get this out. Long days, long day today, long day yesterday, long day tomorrow. All good days. And yes, I'm taking care of myself. So I just wanted to get this out there. Please take care of yourself. Please be kind to yourself. And please treat yourself with the compassion that you extend to other people. Very important. So see you next time.